In Hot is presented by Betano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
We are back where it all started, boys. Welcome to Coming in Hot. I'm Brent Wallace alongside former NHL players Jason York and Bobby Ryan. 182 days after they began the season in Buffalo, the Ottawa Senators returned to finish the season. And for you, Bobby, Craig Anderson likely will play his last game. I know you spent a lot of time with him, including recently you hung out in Nashville. Do you think this is Craig Anderson's final NHL game?
Man, I thought that 4 years ago a couple times. It depends. If somebody offers him another $750, he's not saying no. But I don't think he'll get that. He's had a really unique situation this year where he's kind of called his own shots, been a third goalie at times, been a starter at times. And I don't know if that is a long-term strategy for any team that wants to get better. So I personally do. I think it probably is, but I have no insider information on that. I think a big part of him is ready to go home and be in Florida full time and be with the family. But that guy's, I don't know. I have no idea with this guy.
Hey, Bobby, that's what everybody thinks till 3 months in. They're like, "What the hell? What have I done? I want to play hockey."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all everybody thinks there's so much excitement going on. Oh, I'm missing so much, man. I can't wait till I'm retired. I'm gonna have so much I want to do, and all of a sudden, this isn't what I envisioned.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that one bit. For the love of the game.
Andy's a lifer. He's the oldest guy in the National Hockey League this season. I hope for him he gets to pick it if he wants to come back, but I know the family really wants him down in Florida. But is it almost like the Tom Brady? Yeah, I'll be back this year. This will be it. And then it's like, I'm going to try it one more year.
I'm so 50-50 on this one. I have no idea. This isn't lock of the day. So I'm not calling a shot either way here. But if it is, I hope he has a good one, and I hope he wins his last game. And that's not to discredit the Sens. I just hope Andy, as a personal friend of mine, wins his last game.
Yeah. Oh, well, showing up the lock of the day early in this one. We'll see how this plays out when we get down to it. Wow. Hey, Bobby, what's the weather in Nashville before we get any further here?
It's calling for rain, but I was already at the course for an hour this morning, so it was beautiful. I got 18 in. Yeah, I got 18 in yesterday. Played very well, so I left a few out there that I had to go back and get to work on. So I did that, but it's calling for rain. It's not looking like it, so I might be back there in an hour.
So what would be the temperature?
72 degrees.
Oh,
so,
we are sitting in a lovely Stützle, a balmy 84. Okay.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Still snow on the ground? Is there still snow on the ground though?
There is still snow on the ground. Yes, there is.
A little bit.
I knew it.
And a few days ago, we had an ice storm.
Yeah. I just got
none of that here. It's been gorgeous, man.
And no golf here probably till, well, the public course will probably open next week because they want to start jamming rounds in. But my course isn't open. My course isn't open probably till May 1. But hey,
where do you play at? I got to come get in those pockets.
Yeah, I currently just joined Royal Ottawa last summer.
Oh, yeah, I like that course. Yeah. All right, well, I'll see you this summer then.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby. Your money's always welcome here. Just remember, I've got
all right.
I've got a hefty cap, but anybody
you'll be
that's
spending the extra money to make sure my sticks don't make it on the plane. I know you.
Yeah, you're shooting. I hear you're shooting 72s with a nice juicy 9 handicap. Like, come on.
Who told you that?
I know. Word gets out.
Shoot. Yeah, I shot 71 and plugged in 82.
You're that
guy. All right. We're just waiting for Ian Mendes to join us. He is in Buffalo. He was at the morning skate. We are going to have a chat with him and discuss the things with the Buffalo Sabres or the Ottawa Senators that are going on today. Boys, the Ottawa Senators are going to finish the season above 500. They have a chance tonight for 40 wins for the first time since Bobby Ryan was a member of the Ottawa Senators. 2016-17 was the last time. Also, as we know, the last time they made the playoffs. So with that being said, for them missing the playoffs for 6 straight years, Yorkie, is this a successful season for the Ottawa Senators?
I think it is. I think it is because I truly believe the rebuild didn't really start technically till last year. I don't classify those other years as rebuilding years because those were more like you're selling off. There was no plan. It was kind of chaotic. It was very chaotic when Eugene Melnyk owned the team, and I hate commenting because he's passed away, and it's. But you got to call a spade a spade. This was really the first year where I felt like things are being done with a plan in place, and you got to give credit. Like some moves that were made for now and for the future. And in the past, you can't say that was the case here in Ottawa. Like, let's just get rid of this guy and get some draft picks, get rid of this guy. It just seemed like Ottawa was always in sell-off mode. So listen, it's never a total success when you miss the playoffs. But the reason I'll say successful, number one, you now have a legitimate franchise player. Well, you have 2 of them. Tim Stützle coming out party, number one. Brady Tkachuk continuing to evolve as the best, I have no problem saying this, the best young power forward in the game. Those 2 pieces, and then add on the fact, I'll have to say it's a pleasant surprise because nobody saw Jake Sanderson coming out and doing the things he did this year. So center ice position, wing position, defense position, you have 3 stars all at a very young age. So for that reason, I say it's a successful season. And I hate saying that term. I'm not going to say it. They played important games down the stretch. They played some games where you got to evaluate for the first time in a long time what guys can do when a little bit of pressure is on. And for myself personally, I got a chance to say, I like what this guy does. This guy, I'm not really sure if he's a guy that can handle the heat. But it was a successful season for me.
Well, that was a very meaningful answer.
Thank you. It's
Well done.
It's a meaningful day.
Well
No,
done.
I just was trying to play off you. You didn't want to use the word.
I know. I'm not. Yeah, God, it's so sick of that stupid phrase.
Listen, we don't have a lot of time. Ian Mendes is on the line. He's going to join us.
Ooh, he can
Ian,
wait.
welcome. You're in Buffalo for the big. No, we do not keep the greatest writer in Canadian sports history waiting.
He slept me on the Masters pool, and every single time he writes an article, he gets an awesome from me. Next time he's getting a meh.
Guys, how's it going? I apologize. The camera is this hotel room in Buffalo. The lighting is just awful. So you've got my real estate photo there. Like this, that's if I ever become a real estate agent. That's gonna be the picture I use. That's an old picture though.
Ian, are there mirrors on the ceiling?
Not that type of hotel in Buffalo. No, just a standard Marriott.
I don't know why the lighting is so bad, but anyway, we'll move on. I'm glad you joined us. You were at morning skate, which wasn't supposed to actually happen.
Yeah, it's weird. You know what? I think a lot of us figured that game 82, it was likely going to be an optional skate or maybe nobody skating at all. And they ended up going out for a full skate. And I got to tell you, it's I know Jason and Bobby, you guys have been through seasons where at the end of the year you miss the playoffs. And there's probably a feeling of, you know what, like, let's just get the season done with. I can't wait to start my summer. I almost feel the opposite with this group, that they loved being around each other so much that they just wanted one more practice. They want one more game. And it's a different feeling here. It really is a different feeling around this group this year. You could feel it at the morning skate today in Buffalo for sure.
I got to ask you, I just heard today, and I don't know if you know anything about this, so I didn't mean to throw this at you. Pierre Dorion had a meeting with these players and staff. I don't know who all from the staff were there, where he assured everybody he'd be back next season. Now, I know he has 2 years left on his contract. Did you hear anything about this conversation yesterday?
No. So, like, I know that they got into Buffalo a bit earlier than usual yesterday, and Pierre was at the rink today for sure. And in terms of an actual meeting that he had with everybody and said I'm back, that part I honestly don't know. I can certainly poke around a little bit later today. This is going to be really interesting, right? Like, I think Pierre Dorion will be, if he keeps his job beyond this season, would be the first general manager in the salary cap era to keep his job after missing the playoffs in 6 straight years. It's never happened. Like, this has never happened before. So I think it's a worthwhile question to ask. Like, hey, like, you would be the first to keep your job. Why do you think you deserve, to be the first to keep it? There's certainly some reasons to argue why he should. There are reasons why he shouldn't. And I don't know that how, like, this is going to come down to the new owner, though, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, it won't really come down to whoever's in charge, and it doesn't matter what the 4 of us say or what anybody else says. It's whoever's in charge is going to make that call.
Yeah, I would think so, Ian. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but let's throw this out there.
I think it's all dependent on which group buys the team too, fellas, because certain groups are more hockey groups, certain groups are more real estate groups, certain groups will have their own people, certain groups might not. I think it's going to be very dependent on who buys the team.
And that's my point is, what if, I don't know, the Remington group comes in and goes, listen, you just run the hockey team. We're not really that invested at the moment. We want to get this real estate thing going. We'll come back to you next year. And, like, do they want to give up 2 years and pay a guy $3 million to not be with the team? They've met, right? Pierre Dorion's been, as far as I know, he's been in with all the ownership meetings when they come to town. So I believe he's got an upper hand. I think he's obviously campaigned to be back next season.
I mean, really. Sorry, go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No, I would say, and I'll be brief, but I would say Pierre presents himself very well in meeting. He comes across very, very well spoken and very in touch with what his team is at the moment. I think he generally gives good interviews. So if he's been sitting in on all those meetings, I'm sure he's presented himself in a very good light. That's not to say everybody that is listening to him agrees with where the team is. But again, I think to Yorkie's testament, it absolutely matters who buys the group. If the team is if the group that buys it is more concerned, I guess, about getting the building downtown and getting the real estate around it, they might throw him another year or two because they get to build the way they want after the fact that they built what they wanted downtown.
Bueller? I thought you were going to say something else, Yorkie, but as you pontificated there. Okay, so let's get to the game, Mendes, as we move on from the ownership and we continue to wait to see what's going to happen here. Did you get a chance to speak to Craig Anderson today?
So Craig did an availability. The problem was at this point, I didn't know if Ottawa was skating or not. So there was a little window there where we thought, just hang around the Ottawa room because DJ Smith might come out at any minute. And then they decided to do the full skate. So I wasn't in on the Anderson scrum. He is going to start, it looks like, tonight. And what a great way for him, if this is it for Craig Anderson, to be able to go out against your old team and the team that really helped, I think, really establish you as a regular in the NHL. I got nothing but respect for that guy. I think, when you look back, especially now given the uncertainty in goal for Ottawa, I hope everybody looks back and understands that Craig Anderson, like the stability he brought to that position for a decade, where every year we would roll in, be like, Craig Anderson's your number one. And the only question, the odd time he got hurt, I get it. But for the most part, that guy was just capital S stable for 10 years. And it was something to behold. And I think we were really lucky to have him in Ottawa there for the better part, like I said, of 10 years.
Yeah, no, he's one of the, I don't know if there's been a better goalie through his time that helps lift up teams. Like, remember when he came in from Colorado and he really helped stabilize the net in Ottawa? For teams that are trying to find their way, and perfect example, Buffalo, he's kind of got that underdog mentality, right? He likes when he's counted out. He likes when nobody's believing in him. That's just from, I don't even know Craig, Bob, but that's the impression I get of him. He likes to prove people wrong. He loves doing that. And case in point, he's in his 40s and he's still playing. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's certainly a big, I was with him for 7 years and close friends and lots of dinners where he was always internally motivated, but he had a chip on his shoulder all the time. And I think that's important for that position. I think there are goalies that are different from that, but I think the best goalies do have a chip on their shoulder. And you would never know it because of the way he presented himself in the media and things like that. But he was very, very outwardly motivated by things around him. So I know how we felt about him as players. Every night we thought that we had a chance to win because he could steal a game. And he did. He stole a lot of them for us. So I haven't watched a lot of hockey this year. I'm going to sit down and watch this whole thing tonight.
All right. So I think Mendes, then let's see where your head is at, Ian. We're going to give you the Betano lock of the day question. Are you going to take an Ottawa victory for their 40th of the year? Are you going to back the Craig Anderson win in his possible final game? Are you a Sens fan or not, Mendes?
Oh, is that what this is? I have to determine. Okay. You know what? I had a little, can we make this a parlay with Betano? I think Ottawa's getting their 40th win and Timmy Stützle's getting his 40th goal.
Wow.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
Tonight. I'm calling it.
What's he at?
It's 40.
38.
What's he at? He's at 30. He's getting 2, eh? Ooh. All righty.
Wow.
All righty.
All right, Mendes.
Yep.
Okay, so Ian, as you're there today, what is the feeling around this group? And I know we've talked about how special they are. And I think when I heard that they were canceling the morning skate and not doing it, I thought that was a mistake for a group that really just likes to be together. Remember, this group, for whatever it is, will not be the same next year, obviously. Same every year. What do you take away from this game as they get prepared to play tonight?
Like, there's nothing you can take away from this game. Look, we've learned the last few years that if you end on a high, you don't bring it into September, October, right? Like, let's forget about anything to do with the game. But there's absolutely a different feeling around this team this year than I've seen in any of the last 5 years of the rebuild, where at the end of every year, garbage bag day, there was like kind of drawn faces, long faces. People felt like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, you know what? I hope that things are headed in the right direction. I couldn't tell you definitively that the arrow was trending in the right direction. I can tell you that today. It really does feel like they're going to have at least a 12-point improvement year over year. Like that's pretty good. It's not. I think what's really frustrating when you're around the guys. I had a good chat with Alex DeBrincat today, and I said to him, do you have a little bit of like conflicting emotions right now? You feel like you had a good season as a team, but you're really disappointed to not be in the playoffs. He says, yeah, that's it. Like, it was right there. This isn't like last year. Like, if they ended with 85 points and the 8th place playoff team had 100 points, you'd say, oh, yeah, you know what? We took a step in the right direction. Let's regroup for next year. But it was right there, guys. Like, let's be honest here. This should have been a playoff team this year. Like, they should have made the playoffs. They were good enough to make the playoffs.
Well, Ian, there was a time when they had a bunch of games in hand on Florida, and they were pretty well neck and neck with Florida. And one team, if you want to make excuses, was severely injured down the stretch, and Florida just hit their stride in the last 2 months. Like, Florida won the big games they needed to win, and Ottawa, when they needed to win on that Western road trip, just couldn't get it done for a variety of different reasons.
Well, go back. So the Saturday night when they beat Columbus, they won 5 in a row. The crowd was chanting, "We want playoffs." They just got Chychrun. They won 5 in a row. The next morning when they woke up, they were 3 points out of a playoff spot, tied with Florida, and games in hand on the Panthers. Like that, their season, as much as we talk about November submarine them, I think that Western trip where they lost in Chicago, Calgary, Vancouver, that did them in. To me, that did them in. And that's goaltending.
So, well, it was goaltending and also
and injury.
There we go.
Also too, some guys, and I'll say Alex DeBrincat, for example, they needed him to step up on that trip. And there were guys that just were snake bitten, right? And they had all of a sudden a team that scores goals was having trouble scoring goals, and they didn't have everybody playing to the top of their game when they just had no depth. It was Stützle, it was Tkachuk, and then the drop off, and Giroux, and the drop off after that was like off a cliff. Batherson was good as well, but the depth to me of the Ottawa Senators really got exposed on that road trip.
Yep. That was the trip. We talked about it before we went. This was the trip. This was the time of the year you needed to find wins, and guys needed to step up. And the four that you mentioned did, but there was a major drop off, and yeah, the goaltending was very suspect, but they still found a way to lose 2 out of those 3 games that they just could not absolutely lose between. Was it Vancouver and Chicago? You can't go into Chicago on a 5-game win streak and lose. You cannot do it. But if you want to be a team that's playing at the end of April.
To play devil's advocate too, guys, and Florida was a much healthier team. Who was the goalie for the Florida Panthers getting it done down the stretch? It wasn't Bobrovsky. It wasn't Spencer Knight. It's a 30-year-old guy. What's his last name? Lyon?
Alex
Lyon. Where did he come from?
It's their Dylan Ferguson, right? Like it's their guy that they just randomly put in there, and he started winning games.
Exactly, because it's crazy, and yeah, it's their Ferguson, it's their Hamburglar, whoever you want to call him.
Yeah.
By the way, Yorkie, I'm shocked he hasn't mentioned it yet, did pick that Florida was going to be in the playoffs at the end of the season. Mendes, last question before we let you go, and that is, if you had $9 million, are you paying Alex DeBrincat next season to be on your hockey team?
Ooh, that's a good question. Like I would try and sell this. Look, first of all, I want to go on the record and say I'm always a player guy. I'm always a fan of when players go get big contracts. I feel like players put their bodies on the line. I never get mad at a player for signing a big contract. So I want Alex DeBrincat to go get paid, just like I wanted Tim Stützle to get paid, and I want Jake to get paid. I want them all to get paid, okay? But here's what I would try and sell DeBrincat on if I'm Pierre Dorion and I'm in charge. I would say, look, we're making a decision as an organization that Timmy and Brady are the ceiling. They've done that in Boston for years with, Bergeron and Marsh. Everyone has to fall in line. We love you. We love you at 8, or we love you at 7.75, or like we love you at the Josh Norris number, whatever it is. But we can't do this at 9 for a long term. Like we might be able to squeeze you in on a 1 if we got to play this out on the qualifying, fine. But that can't be the number moving forward. And if you want this to be a place where we win and we all win together, then you're going to have to come in a little bit less than 8.5. And that's the conversation you have to have, right? And then if you're DeBrincat, you have to sit down. And I had a good chat with him today. Like, he's got a young baby and his wife. They got to make a decision, right? They've come to a new country. They have to decide, is this what we like? But he's such a chill guy. He doesn't strike me as the type of guy that's like he's looking for Broadway or he's looking for a big market. Like, I think he just wants to go where he's respected, where he loves his teammates, and he has a chance to win. And I do think that that's Ottawa. I think you can get this done if you can convince him to come in at that number below Brady and Timmy. But if he feels like he can get more, I never begrudge the player ever. No. Just go get paid. No. 15 years from now, you're not going to have the ability to go make $9 million a year. So who am I to tell you that you should take less? Go get paid, I say. We'll see how this plays out.
Go get paid. I love it.
Go get paid. Secure the bag.
So Ian, here's my question. Well, we got you on here. We all know the best time to make a deal is at the draft. If you're going to have so many more teams in play, everyone's draft picks are there. I think you got to get this done before the draft, because if you just qualify him, he's there, all of a sudden the leverage goes to the player, and then you're not going to have as many dance partners. So for me, I don't know about you, but I would think you got to have this conversation long before the draft, get working on an extension, and then know if you can do it or not. And then if the player doesn't want to do it by the draft, then you got to make the tough decision of trying to get something back that's going to help you, because you're going to be a really good team for the next for the next little while. Ottawa is going to be a very good team. So they can't let this linger in the next season. That's just because they're going to lose the leverage.
No, and look, Pierre Dorion has been through this before with Mark Stone. This was Mark Stone to a T, where you basically walked that guy into unrestricted free agency, and then had to make sort of I don't want to say panicked move, but certainly a move under duress at the deadline with Vegas, right? And so you don't want to do that. You don't want to get to next February, and what if you're not in a playoff spot and you've got DeBrincat and now you got to flip him out? It's not ideal, right? I'm with you. I think option A is you try and sign him 7 times 8, 8 times 8, whatever it is. If you can't do that, I do think that the time to move him would be now. And then you can try and sell your fan base on, hey, those 30 goals or whatever that you're missing from him, we're going to get those back with Josh Norris. And when Josh comes back, we'll get those goals back. And we need to address some other areas. Fine. But I'm with you. Every day that moves on from today forward, the leverage swings into the DeBrincat camp's favor. Like, Jeff Jackson's got to just be sitting back and saying, okay, like, what do you want? This is all, they get to call the shots here. But that's the beauty of unrestricted free agency. Like, this is why players this is why Jeff Jackson structured Alex's contract the way he did a few years ago. And Chicago's probably thinking, thank God this isn't our mess to inherit.
Yeah.
This is why Craig Oster did Matt Tkachuk's contract same way. Like, give your client a ton of leverage in his final year of RFA. And this is exactly what's happened for DeBrincat.
So let me ask you this, and I'll tell you, Ian, Bobby, Wally, you got a player that's this young. He scored 40 goals. Why in the first place would Chicago get rid of him then?
They're getting rid of everybody, though. They're tearing.
I was going to say,
apart.
Yeah, that was a complete fire sale down there. But I understand where your question's coming from.
You don't want Alex
I
DeBrincat scoring 40 if you're trying to get Connor Bedard. The last thing you want is Alex DeBrincat scoring goals.
Yeah, I guess, but
I get where you're looking at it from the other side, Yorkie. But I having known some players through there in the last couple of years, just about everybody was on their way out, and he was a guy that could get the most for. So he was kind of the first domino to fall on the way out. I don't think it says anything about the player. I just don't think they looked at him as saying he's going to be an $8 million guy for us when we want to be in last place.
Yeah.
And you free up $9 million.
Yeah.
So, Mendes, I don't want to keep you any longer. I have one quick final question. Which rebuild is further along, Buffalo or Ottawa?
Ooh, you know what? It's a great question. I went back, I re-listened to, I keep all of my audio. I went back to opening day. DJ Smith was in Buffalo. And October 13th, he said, boy, us and Buffalo were on the same path. And he kind of answered the same question today from somebody else. And as we sit here today, I kind of feel like they're the exact same team. Both of them are the exact same team, where your real question mark is in goal. I think the Sabres at least have their guy, like the kid Devin Levi seems like he's legit and maybe as ready as next season, ready to go. But I think that they're both about a half step ahead of Detroit. I think Detroit feels like they're a little bit further behind. But now the question is for Ottawa and Buffalo. They have to look at the Eastern Conference standings now and say, who's coming out to let us in? Pittsburgh and Washington have started their regression. So they're no longer like look at this list here and tell me who's coming out. I guess you would say the two wildcard teams would be arguably the most vulnerable, but the Islanders have really good goaltending, pretty good structure. The Panthers have a really good collection of talent. There's no team that's sitting in the top 8 that I can sit here and tell you they're absolutely trending in the wrong direction. Florida maybe a little bit, but boy, I'd hate to bet against a team that just won the President's Trophy a year ago and made the playoffs again.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Before you go, Ian, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is hockey pool weekend, and by the way, you're getting an invite to the Yorkie hockey pool.
Okay,
and you're not
I won't
saying
stiff
no.
you like I did with the Masters. I made a huge mistake there. That was
well, no excuse. Well, no excuses. Get the nail out of your wallet. You're into. Freaking Bobby was in the Masters pool all the way from Nashville. So people are wondering, if you have the first pick in a playoff pool, who are you picking?
I mean, it's got to be McDavid. Like, I don't know, I don't even know that there's a conversation to be had on anybody else. Is there? Like, I mean, the Oilers look like they might be the best team in the West. This guy statistically had the best year of anybody in a generation. The last year in the playoffs, he was unbelievable. I don't even think it's close. I don't think you can make a legitimate debate for anybody outside of McDavid. If you're sitting with the number one, the great debate starts at 2, just like it does with the Hart Trophy. Like, who you're taking second. Yeah. I mean, you could make a case for Draisaitl. I think McKinnon you would maybe make a case for, but
Pasta.
I don't know. Pasternak.
Mendes,
I mean, what a year.
The Bruins are pretty good.
They're not.
Mendes,
they're not
is
bad.
your vote in?
No, you know what?
Your
like
votes?
my no. So the deadline is the first day of the playoffs. So I'm sitting there with my ballot.
Okay.
And if you guys want to talk me
So-
into anything or out of anything, you let me know.
Yep.
Because one of the things I do try and do is try and various people to tell me what they think of this. Because to me, I'll be honest with you, I think it's silly that writers are the ones that vote on player awards. I think that should come from mostly the players, but a little bit, maybe you create a committee or some percentage of it, but it's got to be the players. Like, nobody knows the game like the players. Anyway, but so to me, it's a big responsibility.
That's what they did by giving us a podcast. They knew me and Yorkie were the guys to listen to. That's why they're paying us the big bucks, hey, Yorkie?
Oh, yeah. I love the committee idea, Ian. I love that idea. It's a great
idea. It should be.
Yeah, I'm pro committee.
Like, Ottawa,
Ian,
we need
realistically. Okay,
yeah.
Let me ask you, how many games this year did you watch?
What do you mean, like outside of
NHL?
Ottawa?
In the
Ottawa,
entire league, there's like what, 12 games?
Oh boy.
It's
so I watched.
It's impossible.
It is impossible. It is impossible. Like I watched virtually every. If I wasn't at every Ottawa game, I watched it on TV. Maybe except for 2 or 3 of them, I would watch. Yeah, and maybe I watched another 30, 40 games over the course of the season with different teams. And then but it's impossible. And so that's why I think it's important to talk to as many people as possible. Try to me, the Norris debate is the one where I'm going to have a really hard time because it seems awfully polarizing. You have Eric, who had 100 points, which I think is just ridiculous. But then you have other people saying, what Hampus Lindholm did was unbelievable, or Adam Fox and McAvoy, or like whoever. Like there's cases to be made on 4 or 5 defensemen. Like that's the biggest one for me, Norris Trophy.
Ian, how many here's out of curiosity as we're talking on this, how many times have you watched Matty Beniers play a full game?
Maybe 4 times. 3 times, like the 2 Ottawa games, and I think I watched a Kraken. They smoked somebody early in the year, and it was maybe 3 times.
That's crazy, right?
Now and sit down with this Rookie of the Year thing, and it's a challenge because I've seen Jake Sanderson every night.
Yeah,
and I think what this guy's done is unbelievable. But I think what Owen Power has done is unbelievable.
Yeah. No.
I agree.
I read your article on Power and Sanderson. I agree. They have to be in the conversation for playing arguably the toughest position next to goaltender and doing what they've done. It's absolutely incredible. So no, it's a great debate with the committee and how you vote on the awards because it is time-wise impossible. I always say this, Ian. Could you imagine voting on the Oscars and you ask somebody else's opinion on the movie? What'd you think of that movie? It's good. Okay, I'm going to vote for it based on what you saw. How stupid is that?
That's exactly it. Yeah, I know.
That's basically what we're doing. That's basically what we're doing. What do you think of the movie? Yep. Oh, it was good. Okay, I'll vote for that movie too then. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And seriously, last question. Is Sanderson your
There's
pick
been
for the
5
call?
last questions, guys. This is
I know.
good.
Yorkie doesn't listen.
Trying
I
to
keep
get the
saying
nap.
last question. Okay. Who's your number 1 pick for the Rookie of the Year?
Boy, you know what? So I've debated between, like for me, Sanderson's a finalist, but not number 1. I think it's down to Powers and Beniers for me. It really is. And I think Owen Power, if you look at like the minutes that he's played for a team that was in the conversation for a good chunk of the year, like it's really remarkable, like what he's done. But Beniers is produced offense at a greater rate than any other rookie, cracking or going to the playoffs. I'm not as big on Stuart Skinner, only because like if he had played a few more, like if he had played 50 games or 55 games, I don't know what the number's at right now for him, but I think he's fewer than 50 games. I don't know. I feel like if I don't think Stuart Skinner's the biggest reason why Edmonton is having success. Let me put it that way. I think there's some other factors there.
Okay, Mendes. Stuart Skinner started 47 games and played in 49.
Okay. See, so like I said, he hasn't played 50 games. No.
Wally loves Skinner. He loves Skinner. You had him on our Rookie of the Year board. You did.
Yes. I had 4 people.
Top 3.
Matty Beniers, Owen Power, Jake Sanderson, and Stuart Skinner. I think Jake Sanderson is a finalist. And he probably won't win, but we've already told you all the reasons why I think he should be a finalist. That's my pick. I'd probably vote for Jake Sanderson.
Yeah.
But that's okay. All right, Mendes. It's nap time.
Yeah. It is not. Well, no, it's too late for a nap now.
Coffee time.
5 extra questions cost us.
Exactly.
Hold on, one more question.
Well, if Ian stays any longer, he's got to read a promo. A
sponsor read. Yeah.
Read.
I listened to your pod on the way down to Buffalo the other day, yesterday, and I was listening to Bobby's live. It was like a pro's read from Bobby.
Hey, Mendes.
All right.
Well done.
See, I catch a lot of flack around here, Ian, but the people love it, and you've spoken.
Yeah.
So we got to get an article up on that on the Athletic.
Hey,
that's right.
Mendes, what do you? By the way, what do you think of the handle Brent Bitterman? Does Brent Bitterman have legs? Do you like it? Do we keep it?
I love it. I love the alliteration. Yeah, Brent Bitterman.
Bitterman. Yeah. He hates it. He's got to embrace his bitterness.
You're done. Oh my God. I'm just trying to speak for the people. I'm just giving you an honest opinion. All right, Mendes, take care. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the game tonight. Right, and I appreciate it. We're going to make you come back on after the end of the season. Yeah, you got it, guys. Anytime. Have a good one. Thanks, pal.
He's so jolly. He's the jolliest sportscaster I think in the nation's cats. Just stop
Basically,
yeah.
Bob is jolly. You are not. Mendes is always jolly.
Bobby's on the golf course all the time.
Yeah,
I'd be jolly too.
That goes a long way, doesn't it? Every now and again, I wake up and choose something else, but most days I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. See. Meanwhile, I've got to do stuff. Okay. Yeah. So I got to get the kids to school. I got to pick them up, take them to hockey. I got a lot of stuff on my plate.
Let me ask you this, Wally. Are you the guy? Are you the angry N-boards dad? The guy that's behind the glass, complaining, yelling, banging on the glass?
So here's what I do. I got tired of standing around parents who are yelling at everything. So I brought my camera, and for the last 8 years, I take pictures for most of the time. So I stand by myself and just take pics.
You leave the lens cap on and just people have no idea.
No battery in the camera. and then
guy's committed to his
I
art
give
down
them out
there.
to all the kids.
That's
so
awesome.
you are what I call you're the lone wolf. You're up in the corner, the lone wolf dad by himself, coffee. Yep. Leave me alone.
So
I like it.
So
That'll be me.
And one of the reasons was I was on the bench for 1 year, very early on, and it was the final game of the season. And on the opposite side, there's that Sensplex, for anybody who's aware of how they're set up, Richcraft. There's an elevated spot at the top, like a patio, whatever. And the dad is yelling at his kid to stay on the ice. And he's like, stay on. And so afterwards, and by the way, the kid is on the ice, or he comes off the ice. He's like, my feet are killing me. I can't skate. I'm like, we'll just get you out when you can. So afterwards, I saw the parent. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, he was coming off. You were taking him off too soon. I'm like, his skates are killing his feet. We didn't ask him to come off. So that was what really set me off, is that parents yelling at their own kids to be like, I don't care how much pain you're in, stay on the ice and skate. And I was like, I'm done.
I'm out. Done. Yeah. I can't play.
That was it. That was the only time. I didn't want to be on the bench anymore.
The amount of texts I get about going on the bench and doing one-on-ones down here, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. No, there's not a chance.
I'm out.
I'm putting the skates on for one reason and one reason only, and that's my little guy. And when he wants to skate, we'll skate, but that's it.
So
it is tough.
So a guy I used to coach with, good friend, Jake Power. He's from Newfoundland. He's old school. And he used to say to his son, you're not getting off the ice unless you're really hurt or you're dying. And we were playing in a tournament once, and the kids are like at him, and his son's lying on the ice, and he's trying the fireman's crawl to the bench. He's like, I'm not going out to get it if you lie on the ice. So anyhow, he finally gets back to the bench, taken to the hospital. His leg was broken.
Oh my goodness. We're laughing at this.
So he goes, well, I'm going to believe him next time he lies on the ice.
Yeah. Like maybe we could just let people do the jobs that we've entrusted them to do for the year. So anyway, I've just seen a lot of nonsense. I was also on the board of one of the minor hockey associations, and it was just awful. So we'll get into that someday in the summer. We'll have a minor hockey chat, shall we?
Sure.
Anyway, back to some Sens stuff, if you will. I got to check the nerd report. I don't even know where we're at. By the way, Max Guenette is going to play tonight on the blue line. So him and Tyler Clevin are expected to be a pair. I can't imagine how much they're going to play together, given that Tyler Clevin is just himself beginning in the National Hockey League. A couple of notes about that. One, Guenette will be the 7th player this season to make his NHL debut for the Ottawa Senators. And two, when he does take to the ice, all 6 draft picks from the 2019 draft will have played at least one game, which is crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Given that, I think if you look up the averages around 50%-ish that make the National Hockey League out of a draft, to have all of them play one game is pretty impressive. And I think, again, it goes to Trent Mann and the work he's done by able to find these people. Like even the 2020 draft, 7 players out of 9, I think, 7 out of 10 have played at least one NHL game too. Like that's just, it's really good to see what they've been able to do with their draft picks.
Yeah, he's very, very good at what he does.
Yep. And unfortunately, this year they've traded away all their picks, and so he won't be very busy. Anyway, back to, I'm interested to see Max Guenette. I thought he played really well in this training camp and in rookie camps and stuff. I like his game. I'm hoping, I know it's a reward to play in the final game, but I'm hoping he gets to be able to enjoy it and plays a pretty good game for himself.
Yeah, no, it's from everything I've heard about him. He's had a real good year, puck moving guy. They're rewarding him for what he's done this year, and special place in my heart. 7th round draft pick. Always tough when you're picked that late, and he's actually getting an opportunity probably sooner than he would have expected, because usually you're marinating for at least 3 years down there before you get a sniff as a 7th rounder. So good on him. Yeah. Good on him for having a good year.
Yeah, he probably got on that bird yesterday and was like, "Oh my goodness, look at all this food. Where's where's the jar where we pay for the Snickers?" so have a good night and have a good steak on the flight home and eat up, bud. Enjoy it.
And that's a nice little summer bonus because he's going to get he was there for practice 3-4 days of NHL pay. That'll go into his summer slush fund. That's always nice when you're in the minors.
I'm guessing he got 2 days if the Sens did it right. They're not calling him up any quicker than they have to.
That's fair. No, 2 days pay is better than 2 days pay in the American League. That's a bonus.
Exactly.
That's a nice
big bonus.
That's a nice day.
All right.
Hey,
quickly,
we're just lucky.
And then I want to move on. Yeah,
we're just lucky. We had a guy that got called up. Dan Sexton was his name. We were pretty thin in Anaheim. He got called up and he ended up being in Nashville and was up for 2 days and lost money because Nashville doesn't care what you make in the NHL. You paid that luxury city tax, $2,500, right. And he lost money to play in the NHL for 2 days. You have to pay that twice a year in a fiscal year, no matter what your salary is. So if you're playing, it's costing you money. So I remember him coming up and he's like, "This is awesome." And somebody told him and it was just like, "What? What do you mean?" I had no clue. So we were like, "Yeah, you're gonna be writing a check tomorrow for the boys."
All of a sudden you see him
funny.
like putting
so bad.
Oh, that's awful.
That's funny. Do you think Mendes brought it up? Do you guys think that Tim Stützle is going to get to, if he gets 2 goals, he gets to 40 goals and 90 points on the season tonight?
What do you think, Bob?
No, because the law of averages just don't say you're going to score 2, right? So no, but I would love to see it. I'd love to see him hit 90 points for himself, whether it's 2 goals or not. I certainly think he gets on the board. He finds a way most nights, but no matter how good you are, unless you're Connor David, it's still hard to put 2 points up a night in this league. So betting on a 2-point game is always tough to do.
Yeah, it's tough. I didn't think he would get this far. I remember we had this discussion a while ago. The only thing he's got going for him is Buffalo plays wide open, loosey-goosey, fire wagon hockey. Like this ain't going to be a tight checking game. So if there's a game, he's got a chance of the odds going up of getting 2 goals. This is probably it, because I don't think the Sabres aren't going to play a lot of D, but you got Anderson in, who's probably going to play a real. He's not. I don't see Craig Anderson getting lit up in this one in his last game.
No.
But yeah, who knows? I originally said no, but I think there's a chance just because I think it's going to be wide open. So and who knows? Did we think Giroux was going to get 3 points when he needed 2 to get to 1,000? Yeah. So it's been a year. It's been a very unpredictable year. When you think you got it figured out, then you don't.
Very true.
By the way, Tim Stützle has 7 2-goal games this season and 30 multi-point games.
See, that's the thing. So, if he gets one early, you never know. He's had if he gets one early for sure. I from the betting standpoint, and we know how good I am at that with my record this year, I'm just gonna say no.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. The only place I'm good at betting is on the first tee.
Negotiation.
Okay, so people talk about me maybe being a little ornery sometimes. Bobby Ryan, you upset some people with a tweet you posted. Just threw it out there in the middle of the Masters. College hockey so bad,
man. Well, I was watching a repeat of one of the games that was on. No.
Do you want to walk it back? Do you want to
No.
All right. So give your side of this.
So I actually responded to a couple people that said, "Here's a list of the great players that have come through." And I said, I never said there weren't good players in every place that hockey's played. College, the CHL, the minors. There are good players that are going to stand out and make it to the league from everywhere. But when I'm watching the 3rd and 4th line in college hockey, I'm going, oh my goodness, what is happening out there? And everybody's got cages on, so everybody's running around a million miles an hour because they're not worried about getting stuck in the face. They're not worried about getting punched in the head after a scrum. I was so frustrated watching one of the games that I watched that I'm not walking it back. Probably shouldn't have tweeted it, but Twitter doesn't pay me, so I tweeted it. But I can't watch the game. I can't.
Okay, this is a serious question. Do you think the CHL, Canadian Hockey League, is that much better than NCAA hockey?
So, and Yorkie, you can back me up on this if you agree. And I think most people would. This is where it gets interesting is if you're putting a CHL team out against a college team, you're going to have 16-year-olds playing against 23 and 24-year-olds in some cases. Yeah. And that is a major difference. But if you're taking the best players, and I'm just going to use the 19 and 20-year-olds from junior, and we'll say the overagers, right? The overagers from junior and the 19-year-olds that have come out of the draft versus the 19 and 20-year-olds in the NHL, I don't think it's close. I think the CHL would mop the floor with them. Where college gets better is they have 23 and 24-year-olds that played a couple years of junior, deferred to play more hockey, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think across the board, the CHL is a much better place for 19 and 20-year-old hockey players.
So I've watched a lot of the OHL because my son was there. The OHL is a mini NHL. That's what it is. It's a miniature version of the NHL. They run the same rules. Get the half visors on. They play a ton of games. To me, it's the best place to play if you are a premier player. If you're a guy that's in the top of the food chain, it's great. I don't love the OHL as far as developing people. College beats the OHL. They beat the pants off the OHL in that thing because all you got to do, and I know this from playing there, all you have to do in the OHL is worry about playing hockey. So true, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But if you're a really, really good player, you're going to get developed there because they're going to play the snot out of you. You're going to play all the time. You're going to play a ton of games. You're going to get good coaching. You got the best of the best, and you're just doing it more often than you're in college, where college is better for the late bloomer. It's better for the late bloomer. And at the end of the day, Bob, you just said it. If you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter where you play. You're going to find a way to get there.
True. Very true. Yeah.
I will say, though, I guess in the defense of all that is there's too many leagues. It feels, or there's too many teams, right? Of all of the CHL teams across the country, add in all the NCAA D1 schools. On top of that, people playing in Europe. It's just watered down. You just can't possibly put that many people on the ice and have that much talent. And I think that's your point.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And then the other side of this is, and Yorkie just said it best, college is much better for the late bloomer because they didn't get the sniffs at 16, maybe 17 to play in that league. And this is my defense to this is because they weren't good enough to play in that league. So they went to another one that gave them a chance to become better players, but they're doing it at 23 and 24. Right. That's my, and I do agree with you. There's too many leagues, and it's very hard for a 16-year-old to decide I'm never going to go to college because I have to sign this contract in the CHL. So that's why a lot of American players will go the different route. I think it's too young to make them make a decision, but it's the reality. I had to go through it. It's not fun because I wanted to go to college. I wanted to play college hockey, but I'm glad I didn't at this point.
Why did you want to go to college hockey?
Because I was an American kid that grew up watching college hockey. I wanted to play at the University of Michigan, committed. And I never knew a thing about the OHL, the WHL until the year beforehand when they sat me down and said, you want to come up here? And I looked at the Saginaw Spirit, who were just starting, Plymouth Whalers. I went to all these games, and I was like, why would I ever choose to play college hockey over this experience right here? I could play in this league next year. And then I ultimately made the decision that I did. But most American kids don't know much about it until they're 12 to 15, and they're starting to look at it. And I had no clue. I was playing in California, right? No clue what it was until the year before.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm just curious because you and I have never had this conversation. What switched you to make you go to the O rather than you just didn't want to wait to play college?
I didn't want to go to the NTDP program. I wasn't sold on the experience. And that had a little bit to do with it. But at the same time, I looked at this and thought I can play 68 games guaranteed next year versus whatever the NTDP was going to be playing. I'm going to practice every single day. I'm going to get paid. You're not getting paid, but you're going to have money in your pocket to go to lunch. And I had come off a tumultuous past. I didn't have that luxury otherwise. So I had to make a decision to do that. But what ultimately swayed me was Bobby Clark and Mike Fuda kind of all sitting me down. My agent sat me down, who was Mark Guy, and said, Bobby, I was a little naive, but nobody told me I was going to be a top 5 pick. They said you're going to be a very early first round pick. I just had no clue. I knew I was a good player. I didn't know I was going to be in that area. So when they told me that, they were like, take your shot, but go develop as a player, and you'll get more of that development as a player in the OHL. And I think I did.
When you're in the pipeline like that, I like to call that the pipeline. You're in the pipeline for success, where you're going to have a lot of people. You got to be good to do it, but that's the perfect storm when you go to the OHL, because the odds are, if you do everything in your power and you're a good player, your odds, they always say the odds of making the NHL aren't that high. Well, they go up drastically when you're in that pipeline of being a good player, good situation. You got Newport Sports, lots of people around you helping you. And then it's up to you as the kid. So that's to me, that's when you do the junior thing, because you're going to get there quicker. You just are.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to figure out where Owen Sound was?
Man, that was up there. I did. I had to. Well, I remember Mike Fuda called me after the draft, and I didn't watch the draft. I had no idea. I hadn't made a decision either way. And I got a call from Fuchs and the Owen Sound Attack, and they was on speakerphone, and they called me, and I was outside playing lacrosse with my billet family and had no idea that the draft was happening. So Fuchs was like, congratulations. I said, oh, thank you very much. He said, we'd like the opportunity to have you up to pitch you. And I said, okay, sounds good. I gave him like non-committal answers all the way across the board. And I guess he told me this a couple of weeks ago when I was in Owen Sound. He said, I hung up the phone and thought I lost my job because you had no care in the world. I did Google it later that afternoon and found out where it was. And the pictures didn't really help the situation. But when I got there, I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with the city. I was like, I'm not going there. But absolutely loved the place when I got there. Yeah.
All right. I never talked to you about your OHL story. Quickly, let's get to lock of the day as we wrap up the regular season for the Ottawa Senators. They play game 82 against the Buffalo Sabres, which they played game number 1 against. Brought to you by, we haven't done sponsor reads. We'll have to do that in a sec here. Brought to you by Betano. Go to Betano.ca. Same day, same live game betting, same game parlays, all kinds of stuff when you go to Betano. The game starts now. Online sportsbook and casino. All right. I will start just because I don't think I've started at all this year, but I'm going to make it pretty quick. I am taking the Ottawa Senators. I don't think there's any reason to think that they're not going to want to win this game. Craig Anderson will be at his best and they'll want to win for him, but I just think that they're going to beat the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Mm-hmm. Yorkie?
Yeah, I'm going to agree, Wally. I think Ottawa's power play, it hasn't been statistically as good, but I love that power play. I think they'll be fine playing a run and gun style. Sounds like Sogaard's going to play. He's playing well. So I think Ottawa's going to finish the season on a high note with a victory.
So I think the Sens are going to win, but I'm not going to take them because I want Andy to win his last game, and this is nothing personal. I just want Andy to see. It is personal for Andy and our friendship. It is personal. Although he's ghosted. I texted him at the beginning of the show. It's been an hour, and he's ghosted me, so I got to figure that out. But I do think that he finds a way if this is his last game to win. I think he's going to leave it out there. I think he's going to shut the door for him. And if they're going to play a run and gun style, that's the goal you want back there, honestly. So I'm taking them, but it was kind of a pick 'em. I went with a personal relationship.
I have $20 on this game that the Ottawa Senators will win.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
we shall.
I accept Venmo. I'll throw 20 in against you.
By the way, before we're going to wrap it up, but Bobby, you can have Renfrew Pro today. Okay.
Okay.
Now, Yorkie, Someone did comment the other day, Yorkie, that your reads were getting worse, but they were more entertaining. I just want to throw that out before we start. Bobby, the pro, you take it away.
As always, our show held together by Renfrew Pro, the original hockey tape, cloth hockey tape and this is a big one. It's hand tearable, moisture resistant, helps with puck control, and it's available at all major retailers. You can find them at renfrewpro.com. It's the one with the green core. They are also available at all major retailers. And you can follow. You ghosted me on follow them on Instagram.
Nope.
Instagram, excuse me.
Hang on,
Alex.
Wait, change the board. There we go.
There we go. And as always, they're doing Free Tape Friday. Give them a follow on Instagram at Renfrew Pro. Tag your teammates. You have unlimited entries. Share to your story. You get 10 bonus entries. So they're doing some giveaways. Get on there and get going, folks.
Get her going.
Renfrew Pro.
All right, here we go. I don't like doing this read. I prefer Renfrew Pro, but for the show, I know. Thanks again to Bonisher Excavating, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley as always. What's so funny? Equipment rentals, aggregate, and topsoil sales, you name it, they've got it. They're hiring for the summer. And that's all I got to say about Bonisher. Great company. Thanks for your support, fellas. We love you.
Give them a call if you're looking to get some landscaping done for the summer. Also, 613-432-1120. Go to BonisherExcavating.com. And a reminder, please slow down in construction zones this summer when you're driving down the highway at 130 kilometers an hour. So we are back next week. Monday, we're going to have our NHL picks for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Yorkie will have to take Florida now for the rest of the playoffs. And we will Tuesday, should break down the Sens season.
Florida's taken down Carolina if they get them in the first round. I don't know if it's possible tonight because they play tonight.
Yeah.
And if they win, I think Jersey has a chance to flip-flop Carolina. So I don't know if they lose, they get Boston. So I didn't like what I saw from Carolina.
No, I don't either. But are we doing a pick for every round in the first round here?
Correct.
For every series? Okay.
On
just
Monday?
the first round to start? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you can throw in your cup, who you think is going to win the cup final if you want, but we're going to break down all 8 series.
I got to get my bracket out. I'll be ready.
Oh, and I will say, although there's a friend of yours, Bobby, who I don't know how her name's Savvy, for lack of a better term, in the chat. She has one of your game-worn jerseys, which she is selling. So if you'd like to buy it, go ahead. But yeah, so, and I forget, I think it's from perhaps your last game, although I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, it's being auctioned off.
She was one of my favorite fans ever, one of the nicest people ever. Always Anaheim days, and just a very cool person. So get on there and give her some cash for the jersey. It's only going to go up in value.
Exactly.
Anyway, we will, there is requests for you two to start in on a chat. We will figure that out through the off season as we get going here. But thanks to everybody who's been in the chat for this one. It's been lively. It's been entertaining. To you two, I enjoy this one. I will see you Monday as the off season continues, and we'll chat about what's all going to transpire and how Alex DeBrincat is going to win over Yorkie and become his favorite player.
Love it.
See you
guys.
Boys.
Enjoy the weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Betano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.